Hey, Jerry,
Nick,
I see you've
good
got your
evening.
coffee.
Of
Do you
course.
have any comments about what coffee you're drinking?
Buying coffee, so I gotta have coffee. What I wouldn't be buying coffee without coffee.
I've brought
Um,
tea. Is that okay?
I'll allow it, I guess.
Just this once.
I think we need to change the title then. Um,
So
so
what do we yeah, what are
what
we
are,
here what are we here to talk about? What is
yeah,
this?
so buying coffee is going to be about yeah, kind of technology and coffee. In particular, the Pi piece being we're both involved in the WLAN Pi project and just kind of coming off the heels of the Wireless LAN Professionals Conference and announcing some new things there. Um, we figured, there's been some questions and stuff. This might be a good format to answer some of those questions and provide a way to kind of give back to the community.
Yeah, I felt there was a need. We had the announcement at WLPC and we had quite a lot of interest and people were really interested to know more news about the project. And we haven't really done a superb job so far at communicating kind of what state everything is at and what's happening. And to be honest, I don't really want to start doing a regular newsletter. So because does sounds like too much work. But the idea of doing a regular podcast, maybe on the other hand, or video cast or whatever we're going to call this, that seems more enjoyable than trying to do a written format.
I'm always looking for new reasons to enjoy a cup of coffee, so this works good for me. So as far as the coffee that I'm drinking,
Yeah.
priorities first. This is a roast that I did myself. It's a Brazil, Brazil being nothing too exotic or exciting or anything, but yeah, it's good nutty, chocolatey kind of
All right.
profile.
And maybe in future episodes we can talk about, a little bit more about the roasting process because I know nothing about coffee, other than I enjoy a good coffee, and I've failed miserably to make good coffee myself at home.
See if we can address that on this show.
I, on the other hand, am drinking Thai Fu tea, which is only noteworthy because recently in the UK, Thai Fu tea has started to become more difficult to acquire in the supermarket. So,
well, you better not drink too much of it then on the
I've
show.
stocked up. I
Good.
I have a cupboard full of
Stockpile. Good. To hold you through at least these episodes.
So we are what, 2 weeks, 1 week? When was WLPC? It was about
that'd be 2 weeks ago.
About 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And at the conference, you announced. What did you announce?
So I had a presentation around the basically the WLAN Pi project. Each WLPC conference, I've always had like a slot where I get on stage and give an update of where the project is at with things and kind of progress. And really, there's been a lull where we didn't have anything. We didn't have a WLPC in between the last year. So we had a pretty big update. In the sense of a hardware update as well as a software, and really just kind of almost like took things down to the studs, if you will, and started over, where we actually refreshed everything. We've switched from the Armbian-based platform that we're using over to the Raspberry Pi side of things. So we're on now using a Raspberry Pi Compute Module 4 in the latest hardware version of the WLAN Pi Pro is what we announced, which is a 6 gigahertz capable multi-tool is what we basically kind of deemed it as. It has a bunch of different functions that it can do, and the purpose of it is for wireless professionals to have this multi-tool that they can carry with them to do a bunch of different tasks and functions that they need to do their job.
And I think the transition there that you said, we moved from Armbian, which was packaged up in the Neo 2, and we've moved over to Raspberry Pi. And I think we can deep dive that, maybe not on this session, because I think there's a fair chunk of conversation to have around that. But it's fairly big, isn't it, in terms of future security, we think, and meaning that we can carry on with the project, not have any more big bumps in the road in terms of support for the hardware.
Yep.
But we can dig into the story on how we got to that decision.
Yeah, we've got a bit more control as a big piece of that, and then the longevity of the project is more sound in the sense that, especially moving to this Compute Module 4, I believe, yeah, I don't remember what the date was, but many years out is the plan to continue to produce that compute module for chip. It's meant for like industrial use. It's kind of intended for that kind of market. So that works really well in our favor in the sense that we don't have to worry about Raspberry Pi just being like, oh, we're not going to produce this anymore, and it disappears, after a year or two of developing for it.
And the side by side with that move from the hardware that we've worked on is the dramatic opening of the landscape for the community edition.
Yes.
And being that, maybe you'd like to just summarize what the community edition concept is.
Yeah, so I think there was some. I probably didn't do the best job in the presentation. Tried to cover a lot of different material, and I think there was some confusion or some questions around. Okay, we announced this new hardware platform, and in the past, we really did just have one hardware platform, or at least at a time. We went from the Odroid platform, was the very original hardware platform that we used, to the Neo 2 hardware platform. And we stuck with the Neo 2 platform for a couple of years until that one dried up. And now we announced this new kind of, I don't know, gold standard or whatever, if you will, of the WLAN Pi Pro to kind of show what is possible through this new platform that we've moved to. The cool thing with the compute module is that it is a very flexible hardware platform. So we kind of said, okay, well, if we can do whatever we want with this thing and we can kind of mold this to have whatever features we want it to, let's list out what are all the features we'd want to see in a device. And then essentially the WLAN Pi Pro is what we came up with. It's got PoE, it's got 2 Wi-Fi adapters, it has Wi-Fi 6E. So we took all the latest and greatest and all the feature requests that we've gotten over the years of, it'd be great if a device had this capability and this capability, and we packed it all into the WLAN Pi Pro. However, the beauty of moving to the platform that we've gone to is that we can do a lot, there's a lot of flexibility there, right? So anybody could grab a Raspberry Pi 4 and use the same code, the same operating system, the same image on a very inexpensive piece of hardware as well. So that's the cool thing. And we've already seen some users starting to latch onto that and understanding that concept. And it's pretty cool to see where I saw a guy, Mark, had tweeted out some stuff, and actually he was at WLPC with a CBRS Pi. And I thought that was pretty cool to see some other people coming up with different use cases, but using the same core operating system. So they're using the WLAN Pi OS and running that on their hardware. So it's already got all the drivers and the tools and all that kind of stuff baked in, but now they have some specific functionality that they need to do their job.
And so with the project being, with the community edition and the Pro hardware, but with it all being Raspberry Pi based, and it's running a fork of Debian, right?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's a Debian based distro. Yeah.
The world is your oyster in terms of packages, and you can remove in the packages that we include bundled with WLAN Pi OS. You can also install other Debian packages, and more or less anything that works on Raspberry Pi will also work on a WLAN Pi.
Yep.
There'll be some. Go for it.
Well, I was just going to say, yeah, since we're pulling from we're latched on directly to the Debian repository. So all the same packages that you would find in a Debian repository or a Debian system, those are the same packages that are available. In addition to that, we've also created our own WLAN Pi repository, which is something that's completely new to this platform. And it was a big kind of lift on our side, but we've started to do is packagize all of our tools. So yeah, to like your point of like, we've put all these packages, that either are custom packages that we've built, put those on there, or they could be, Debian based packages, but either way, they're packagized so you can add or remove them as you need to. And
then I think just to stress there, yes, we revealed this WLAN Pi Pro hardware, which has got all the bells and whistles. But just to stress this one more time, you could buy if you can find one, you could get a Raspberry Pi 4 and 3, right? And 2
Yeah, any Raspberry Pi that supports 64-bit operating systems, which does go back a few years.
Okay.
So yeah, it doesn't need to be the latest and greatest. If you just want to fire this up in your lab and do some of the functionality with it, you can do that with just something as simple as a Raspberry Pi 4 would be, I think, the ideal hardware. But yeah, Raspberry Pi 3 would work as well.
So anybody interested in playing with the WLAN Pi who's not interested in the pro hardware, should their first port of call before they start investigating CM4s and carrier boards from the numerous vendors that make carrier boards that would be suitable for a community edition WLAN Pi, the first thing anybody should do really is just grab a Raspberry Pi 4, whack it in a off-the-shelf case, stick in a Wi-Fi. Maybe it's already got no, it has already got Wi-Fi, hasn't it?
It has Wi-Fi, but the onboard Wi-Fi is limited. So one of the things is that, the onboard Wi-Fi, for our purposes as a wireless engineer, it doesn't have a lot of the functionality that we would want it to have. Of one, it's a single spatial stream. It is dual band, thankfully, so it does do 5 gigahertz and 2.4, but it's single spatial streams. So that kind of eliminates a lot of usefulness from a packet capture device. Also, it doesn't have the drivers really that we need, or at least the functionality and the drivers that it includes to be able to do things like packet capture or packet injection. But it has USB ports, and with USB ports, we can plug in USB Wi-Fi adapters. Out of the box, we've got drivers on there, the open drivers from MediaTek that allow us to do all the functionality that we need. So any MediaTek chipset USB adapter will get you that kind of functionality of packet capture, monitor mode, that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, to my knowledge, there isn't any MediaTek based adapters out there, or really any adapters out there for the most part, that support AX Wi-Fi 6.
Okay.
And especially there's 0 to my knowledge that are 6E that do 6 gigahertz in a USB adapter, or any way you can connect that through a USB adapter. So that does provide some limitations on the, that side of it. If you're looking for some of that more bleeding edge type stuff, I don't know how much people are needing to do 6 gigahertz captures or AX captures today. But certainly there's going to be more and more a need for that in the future. But if you want to at least just get started at a very low price point, I think that's that was kind of one thing that was very appealing to us as we moved this direction in the project.
Cool. So bottom line, Raspberry Pi in a case with a Wi-Fi, USB Wi-Fi dongle, probably only up to N, but
for the USB adapters.
Yeah.
AC. So
AC. Yes.
Yeah. The most popular ones would be the Netgear A6210s. Those are the same adapters that you'd see even using in recommended for things like OmniPeak. So those are MediaTek based adapters. They're, I believe, 2 spatial stream. But yeah, you can definitely get some good AC adapters. There's also some no-name ones we have listed on the WLAN Pi documentation that are like some generic MediaTek.
So we have a list of supported out of the box, out of the SD card supported Wi-Fi dongles for that.
For the most part, it's either going to be MediaTek or Realtek for the USB adapters, but the MediaTek ones are definitely the recommended at this stage.
Fantastic. I'd like to bring our conversation back around to WLPC. Maybe if we stop navel gazing for just a moment, were there any presentations that I wanted to call out?
Yeah, there was 2 of them in particular, and I'll throw in a bonus one. But to me, and some of the stuff that I'm dealing with currently in my job, anything that was related to 6 gigahertz or Wi-Fi 6, was very appealing to me. There was 2 presentations, one by David Coleman. That was the first of the 2, and his was Wi-Fi 6E. It's almost like Wi-Fi is being born again. Highly recommend checking that one out if you're looking at Wi-Fi 6E, or not even deploying it, but considering doing like designs and stuff. He had some really good points in there that I was not either aware of or had not thought of. And then also there was one on the last day by Wes. He had the impact of 6 gigahertz on network design. And I thought both of those had some really good points in there that I think are, especially as anybody that's doing Wi-Fi designs, for 6E. Those are going to be important.
Imagine for a moment someone didn't know where to get access to those videos. Where should they go?
Yeah, I think we'll have to include some links in there, but yeah, if you just go to YouTube, they're all posted on YouTube now. You can find all the videos. If you just search for WLPC 2022, you'll find a playlist of all the videos and be able to find those videos in the playlist.
Straight after your presentation, or really part of your presentation, after you were on stage and gave the announcement of the WLAN Pi Pro hardware, then Joel and I fumbled our way onto the stage and did battle with the AV equipment. Joel's laptop refused to, I'm going to pin this on the AV equipment. The AV equipment refused to play ball with Joel's laptop at all. And so then we quickly rushed around and grabbed my laptop, and my laptop worked, but begrudgingly, because everything was orange. Not
well, it worked perfectly fine with mine, and then it wouldn't work with Joel's, and then it kind of worked with yours. Like, we're all using MacBooks and everything. Like, it's not like we're using like completely different hardware or anything. But yeah, that was weird.
So then Joel had a few slides that he wanted to present on the case design process and then the case manufacturing. And I quite enjoyed being the Fusion 360 jockey. And I do like the ability to move around that 3D model and switch layers on and off. And it's so snappy. I think about how much mathematical, how much number crunching is going on in order for that to be visualized on the screen. And it's most of the time not jerky. And yeah, Fusion 360 is an incredible tool.
Yeah.
It's not perfect. It annoys me intensely in many ways. And I will probably have an entire monologue about how much Fusion 360 sucks, but the tool is fantastic. And yeah. So
I believe you. I have no idea how to use it, but it's impressive watching you and Joel fly around in there. Oh, I did have one more bonus presentation. Yeah. The one that was probably the most mind-blowing to me, which I think this actually should say a lot, because usually I'm a very big skeptic when it comes to things like AR and VR, and so far, all that kind of stuff, like, it's very gimmicky to me, and like I don't see any real world value that it brings. But Timo Sass did one with this Wi-Fi VR or YVR. Definitely recommend checking out that presentation. I think it was kind of a shorter one too, but it was really mind-blowing of watching him navigate through this VR world of Wi-Fi, like basically analyzing a site survey using VR and like navigating the halls of a building and like seeing the signal and all that kind of stuff was super, super cool. And I guess to me, it was like kind of one of those light bulb moments of like, hey, this actually could be really useful. I could see like actually showing a customer, their problems and stuff with, through this lens. It was pretty cool.
It was really impressive. I also subscribe to the skeptic group of VR's genuine utility, and I was very impressed. I'm also still yet to be convinced about, yes, Mr. Customer, please just put on this headset, and now but I can see it.
So to me, that's the issue, is like, I don't see us saying like, here, customer, put on this headset. But if it's more of me putting on the headset and then driving like the way he presented that of like the customer on the other end is on a Zoom call and I'm walking the halls through the VR and I'm explaining this to the customer, like, because a lot of the times it's just very hard from like this, 2D view, this top-down view of trying to explain to a customer what it is that we're trying to say. But now if I can go through that VR lens and explain to them, and the customer can see me in that environment, and I'm, pointing out these things through the VR, I think that there could be something there that looked pretty cool.
Maybe it's more, maybe the future is Zoom calls, but yeah, and then you share the screen, because somehow or other we've got to get away from this person wearing the goggle, like with the whole thing strapped to their head, because that you can't help it. Like, it looks ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
But but the
But as
actual
long as it's only
view,
me that looks ridiculous and everybody else can just sit comfortably in
yeah,
front of their computers, then it's okay.
agreed. And what Timo showed was, again, yeah, jaw dropping, which is like
Yeah. Which
that
Timo
looks
did
incredible.
look ridiculous on stage, just to be clear, wearing the the whole setup. And if you're looking at him, he looks ridiculous. But if you're looking at the screen and what he's explaining, it was pretty impressive.
But then maybe this could be one of those things, like with AirPods, to begin with, AirPods were like, that's ridiculous. But
the toothbrushes in your ears.
Yeah, the toothbrush is sticking out of your ears. And
Yeah.
then the genuine utility of it started to take over. And then everybody was doing it. And now AirPods are sort of just, it's just not even comment worthy.
Yep. Yes. Anything else to talk about from WLPC?
Yeah, I think we should touch on the deep dive briefly, and then think about wrapping this session up. And the idea here being that we can just keep the Pie and Coffee episodes tighter rather than ramble on, because there's plenty more I'd like to say. I mean, I've got 20 minutes of Fusion 360 rant geared up, but that'll have to wait. Did you want to talk about the deep dive a little bit? Because I mean,
sure. Yeah, I'll talk about some highlights from the deep dive. So we did a deep dive with WLAN Pi, the WLAN Pi Pros. So this was the big debut, right? We've really rushed to get these things completed. Literally, we're assembling them at WLPC to get enough built in time for the deep dive. And we had 50 plus students in the deep dive. Do you remember how many we ended up with?
I thought it was 55. I thought there were 55.
Sounds right. Yeah, so we had 55 students in there, and it was a full house in the sense of we had our hands full, trying to get everybody using this new hardware that nobody has seen before or used before. So we had a lot to kind of set the stage with, and then we had a lot of labs planned, hands-on labs of using this device to do 6 gigahertz packet captures. So I guess to me, one big highlight was, seeing some of the guys that we had in the room, which there were some super smart folks in the room, which was an honor in itself, to have some of these guys that, I follow their blogs and stuff, like Rasika, and he tweeted out, that was his first time doing a 6 gigahertz capture. And that was pretty cool, to think about. I hadn't thought about it at that point of how many people, probably pretty much everybody in that room, maybe a few, had done a 6 gigahertz capture or something prior to this, but majority of people, probably almost everyone in the room, had not done a 6 gigahertz capture. And then people like that are very smart when it comes to understanding the what they're capturing and the decodes and everything. So it was cool to enable that. So that was kind of a highlight for me.
I'm going to jump in. I've got a highlight.
All right,
I want to say my highlight was the unboxing moment. We got these black cardboard boxes which we had to fold up and build them, and then we popped the WLAN Pi inside with a couple of stickers and a super premium deluxe mega ultra USB cable. And that, for me, that one of the highlights of the deep dive. I mean, besides the actual genuine content and learning happening, but that unboxing moment when everybody got their chance to open the box. And I thought that was quite powerful.
Yeah, it was awesome to see all those out on the desk, everybody getting their hands on them all at the same time, 50 plus people. The other thing that was the highlight for me on the technical side was we had a 6 gigahertz AP in there. And with that 6 gigahertz AP, so far, I've had that 6 gigahertz AP in my home lab, and, at most I've had 1 or 2 6 gigahertz clients connected to that AP at a time, on the 6 gigahertz radio. But in the room, we had about 35 clients all connected to that 6 gigahertz radio. By the end of the deep dive, day 2 of the deep dive, we had everybody put their WLAN Pi Pros into a 6 gigahertz client, connect to that 6 gigahertz radio. And we had, 30 plus clients connected on 6 gigahertz, which was pretty cool.
So we think that's a record, right? I mean, it's certainly a WLPC record, but
yeah. I'm sure it's got to be. It's got to be a record. I'm sure there's been some lab tests or something like that. But yeah, it was pretty cool. I don't know of anybody else that's had 36 gigahertz clients connected at the same time on one AP.
Maybe the final topic just before we wrap things was, it's been a while since we were all gathered together and had that opportunity to present. I mean, I know I felt a little bit rusty coming onto the stage. How did you feel?
Yeah,
Like
presenting.
just being out of that loop of presenting.
Yeah. I didn't really know how that was going to go after not presenting in front of a live audience for so many, for a couple of years, and then getting on stage was definitely a weird experience. I definitely felt rusty. I realized about halfway through my presentation that I was in Zoom mode, in the sense of like, I'm basically standing in front of my computer, like I am now, and like thinking like I can't move out of the, away from the camera. So yeah, I just kind of was like, stationary right in front of it, but I've got a whole stage that I could have been walking around on if I would have kind of gotten out of that Zoom mode. But yeah, I kind of realized halfway through that I was just, going through my regular Zoom habits that I've developed.
I thought it was it was good to get back on the stage. Definitely need to warm back up again and do it more. But I think it's like all of these things, even international travel, that is something that was a little bit more stressful this time around because I'm just out of practice. Yep. And all the little tricks come flooding back, about oh, that's right. That's why I don't put the toiletries in that bag, because I always forget and then I get caught at security. Yeah, that's right. Any liquids, sir? No liquids. Why would I have liquids in that bag? Oh, right. Apart from my toiletries bag, which has got the toothpaste in it. Yep. The liquids. Yeah.
Yep. All the little things we got to relearn, reteach ourselves. The other thing that I forgot about was, I don't know if you get this, but like, it's such a roller coaster of like the emotions of like, okay, there's all the stress kind of leading up to WLPC, and especially with us, with all the prep stuff we had to do with like the presentation and deep dive and everything. But then like, during WLPC, very high, and then after WLPC, like being around everybody, and especially like after not being around, the groups of people like that, I feel like, the week after WLPC is just like emotional, like drain kind of thing of like, I need a week to recover and kind of decompress and everything. And now I'm like back to normal now. Is that me, or do you get that as well?
No, definitely. I did get that. I think for me, it was important to leave, pretty much soon as the event was over. I didn't want to like hang around, and then you kind of get caught in this like weird depression bubble of like, oh, now it's tear down and
goodbyes.
Oh. But I also had Mobile World Congress follow it the week following. So I went from Phoenix back home for a day, and then out to Barcelona for Mobile. And then I had the same thing leaving Barcelona, where the next day I was my head was so foggy. Yes, a little bit of alcohol, but not I wasn't hungover on that day. But like, yeah, just this like massive hangover from like big event, lots and lots of people. You're having lots of meetings, and no, the event hangover is real.
Yeah,
for me.
As much as I enjoy, being around all these, like-minded people and all the conversations and everything, it's also super draining for me. And like, when I get home, it's just like I need like a week to like recover, and like it's tough because then I come home to like, wife and kids, and then it's like I just want to be like alone and quiet and stuff, and like they haven't seen me for a week.
Nope.
So
not gonna happen.
It's a balance. I can hear one.
Nope. Uh-oh.
Speaking of kids.
All right, Jerry. Well, on that note, let's wrap this one up. And yeah, I'm not going to go through a list of things that I want to talk about on future episodes, because that list will change. But there are.
We want to hear what people want us to talk about, right?
You probably do. I want to talk about Fusion 360.
You just want to talk about your things, not what other people want to hear.
No, that's very true. We would like to know if there are questions, specific topics that people would like us to address. I think Twitter's probably the best place. If you tweet at WLAN Pi.
Yeah, the other thing I would say is we could also leverage feedback the feedback on feedback.wlanpi.com. You can have start discussions on there, and we could certainly like take the popular topics off of there and utilize those as well.
Yeah. And the future format of this, it won't just be yourself and I presenting or hosting. I think the idea could be we might have guest hosts and guests on the show. So hopefully this format is appealing, and let us know. Please let us know if this is working for you, doesn't work for you. I mean, yeah,
sounds good.
Great, Jerry. Really good speaking with you.
Always, Nick. Good to chat with you. Good. I'm just about out of coffee, so I need to go get a refill, anyways.
Perfect timing. All right, man. Thanks very much. Take care. Bye.
We'll see you.